fallout continues from a massive fight at Palm Beach County High School. The brawl so big that it sent the school into lockdown, and school police officers had to use pepper spray to control the chaos. CBS 12 News has obtained harrowing video of that altercation, and our Jay O'Brien has that for tonight. And he also is asking school officials how they plan to respond. Jay.
Yeah, Lily, good evening. We know that school district leadership is looking in right now into what happened here, this brawl, but we also know that district officials have said this is something that they were anticipating, something that may have been brewing for a while.
Tonight, an investigation underway into this fight, which sent Royal Palm Beach High School into lockdown. School police resorting to pepper spray to regain control. CBS 12 News obtained this video. We've blurred the faces because the people throwing punches are students, young girls who at one point stomp on a classmate while she's on the ground.
There's no reason to fight it out.
Marcia Andrews is the Palm Beach County School Board member who represents Royal Palm Beach High.
Do officials feel that pepper spraying was necessary to control the situation?
I think we have school police at our schools, and they actually make those decisions working with the school principal because we don't want someone to get hurt.
Andrews warning this fight is a symptom of a bigger problem.
We're at a time where there's a lot of emotional and mental conflict with our students coming out of this pandemic, and so we have to continue to put emphasis on mental health counseling and training for our students.
In December, the Palm Beach County School District releasing data showing students suspended for felonies up 600% and weapon incidents up 118% compared to before the pandemic.
We've seen an uptick.
And at the beginning of the school year before retiring, Palm Beach County School Police Chief Dan Alexander warned CBS 12 News that fights on campus were already on the rise.
We're seeing more activity in terms of fights on campus.
Alexander warning the pandemic played a major role as students return to the structure of the classroom after being isolated from teachers, even friends. Psychologist Dr. Natasha Cole-Hahn saying schools need to make mental health resources more accessible.
The reintegration to their school routine has been quite difficult for a lot of young people.
It's important to point out here a lot of kids going through some kind of mental health difficulty are not violence. In fact, Dr. Hahn that you just heard from, she had said repeatedly that the symptoms that she is seeing most in kids are symptoms of depression and anxiety. That's backed up by data that the U.S. Surgeon General has put out as well. In Palm Beach County, they are continuing to make mental health resources available to students. They say any student who is having some kind of a mental health difficulty or needs a little bit of help should contact a trusted adult on their school's campus.
We are learning new details about a murder in Jensen Beach and a body discovered in a septic tank over the weekend.
The Martin County Sheriff's Office is telling us more about the suspect's disturbing past and how it's possible the victim was still alive when he allegedly buried her. CBS 12's Danielle DeRoss joins us live from the Sheriff's Office with these new developments. Danielle?
It's very difficult to think about, but the Sheriff's Office tells me they are looking into the possibility that Cynthia Cole was still alive at the time that she was buried in that septic tank. They are also raising questions about how and why the suspect in this case was allowed to be removed from the Florida Sex Offender Registry. That's a status that would have kept him on law enforcement's radar.
She was really assaulted. It was a pretty brutal attack.
Sheriff William Snyder says it's possible Cynthia Cole was still alive and breathing when she was buried in a septic tank on her property in Jensen Beach. Her body was discovered over the weekend, and her handyman, 34-year-old Keoki Demich, was arrested for the murder.
We're still waiting on autopsy results that will give us a conclusive answer to whether or not she was alive when she went into that septic tank. We cannot rule that out.
They also cannot rule out whether Cole was the victim of a sexual assault before her death. It's something investigators are looking into, but say they may never know due to the condition of her remains. Demich has a history with sex crimes. In 2004, at the age of 17, he was convicted in Washington state for a burglary with sexual motivation. And according to court documents, the victim in that case was under the age of 12. Demich had to register as a sex offender in Washington, and when he moved to Florida, he kept that status. He failed to re-register and report his new addresses to law enforcement, and he was arrested again in 2009. But when you check the Florida Sex Offender Registry today, you won't find Keoki Demich. Sheriff Snyder says FDLE removed Demich from the registry due to changes in state statutes.
They certainly changed the law so that his particular offense at his particular age no longer qualified him to be an offender here.
It's not clear which law allowed this to happen and why. Even attorneys who specialize in sex crimes tell us it's difficult to say without being able to review the case in Washington state. But one expert tells us it's possible Demich's charge no longer qualifies him for the sex offender registry in Florida.
I would advocate that if you qualify as an offender in one state, we should just adopt that criteria.
Because law enforcement regularly monitors sex offenders, Sheriff Snyder thinks it could have put this suspect on notice.
I do think that in this particular case, it may have made a difference. Constant follow-up from law enforcement, and we're excellent with that here. We check on our offenders. Maybe he would have had a little more trepidation about doing what he did.
Demich has not yet entered a plea in this case, and he is currently being held at the Martin County Jail.